Okay, let's say I've got a set of wheels that I think is going to work on a car, but we want to make sure. Yeah, these are some aluminum wheels. What is the diameter? I'm going to measure inside this flange. Okay, 16 inches. You see this red number 16 right there? I'm not measuring from the outside to the outside, which shows about 17 and a quarter, because the tire sits inside that mounting flange, and I'm not going to push the tape all the way up against that lip. I'm going to pull it in where the tire would sit here on the inside. So I know I've got a 16-inch wheel. Measuring the width is pretty straightforward. Inside to inside, I've got 8 inches. So here's a 16 by 8. Now what is my offset? Okay, so is the mounting surface in the center of the wheel, right smack in the middle at 4 inches? If it is, that would be a 0 offset wheel. But to verify, what I'm going to do is I want to measure from this surface, not on the outside, but from where we took our diameter measurement. So I'm just going to take a stick and make a mark right there. So it's going to slip inside the rim. Let me cut that right quick. Okay, I made my cut. Now it slips right inside that mounting flange, or that lip of the wheel rather. I'm just going to take my tape, and I can see it's basically 3 7/8. So if it came in 1/8 of an inch, it would be a 0 offset. But since the mounting surface goes out toward the front of the rim, it's got a positive offset. So the mounting surface moves forward positively by 1/8 of an inch. Usually that's measured in millimeters. So that makes roughly a 3 millimeter positive offset. So practically I'm going to say that it's got a 0 offset. So I can expect about 4 inches of backspace. It may, the manufacturer may have measured more precisely on the backside than what I can get with a piece of cut off wood here. So I'm going to say this has 4-inch backspace. It's a 16 by 8. We're going to verify this lug pattern. Since this is a 5 lug, you measure from the outside of one lug hole to the center of the one across from it. It doesn't matter if I go this way or if I go this way, because I'm going to put one lug hole between my measurement. If I go this way, I'm putting one between me and the measurement. Okay, that's 4.5 inches to the center. So this is a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on 4.5. So 5 on 4.5 typically will fit a lot of Fords, Toyotas, Hondas, Nissan, Hyundai. You'll just have to check what spec is on your vehicle. I know these wheels came off of a Mitsubishi. We can see the little stamp right there. So these are actually Starion wheels. I'm restoring these things. They're going to come out pretty nice. Kind of a collector's item, so they're worth cleaning. Now the last thing I want to measure is this hub bore. This is going to tell me whether or not this is actually going to slip over the hub that's on my vehicle. Book spec is going to tell me, I think if I look this up online, it's going to say something like 67.1 millimeters. Now I can't get my dial caliper in there. So if I try it, I'm going to zero it out. We're going to measure in millimeters and see that bit of the ruler is going to come out. So I can't take that measurement with this tool. So I'm just going to eyeball this and put my tape in there. I'm going to use my 2 as a 0 and look straight down the center, and it looks like it's roughly 2 5/8 inches. So if I do a conversion online, 2 5/8 inches equals 66.68. So just by using my tape measure, I can verify that 67 millimeters is the hub bore on this wheel. So I want to make sure that the hub diameter on my car is not greater than that. So let's go over to the car now. Okay, so if I know my hub bore on the wheel is 67 millimeters, I'm going to take my dial caliper, make sure we're at 0. I'm going to measure in millimeters. And just go across here. So I'm looking for 67, kind of round it to make sure there's, you know, I'm compensating, getting an average, maybe if there's a proud spot or some grease or something. It looks like 61.8, 61.7. So I know now that this hub is smaller than the bore on the wheel, and I know that the wheel will mate. So I'll just have to measure now, either do a test fit or measure and make sure that I'm not going to have any clearance issues back here. If I've got 4 inches of backspace, I can measure from this mounting surface, come back 4 inches. Is it going to hit the upper control arm? For now, I'm just going to stick the wheel on there and we will see. Okay, here's my wheel. And if we look up here, I can see, I can pass my finger through there. It's not going to hit anything. I could put some lug nuts on here and turn the steering to make sure that it's not going to hit anything back here or up front. Depending on the diameter of my tires, I don't want it to hit anywhere in the fender, the opening of the fender. So I know I can proceed with the restoration of these wheels. It might be different on the back, so double check those things. Now lastly, I want to point out we measured that the hub is a little bit smaller than the hub bore on the wheel. So I've got a little bit of a gap, a couple of millimeters, all the way around between the wheel opening and the hub. So basically this wheel is mounting lug centric. So the lugs and the lug nuts are what's going to keep this wheel perfectly centered on the drum or the rotor, depending on if you got drum or rotor, disc brakes. Now you do have options if you want to have a hub centric centering, which both are acceptable. OE would be hub centric, so this wheel would have been manufactured to be hub centric, so it would perfectly mate up against that hub on the car. So they make shims or hub rings to slip in there, and that's going to give me a snug fit to make sure that the wheel is centered on the hub rather than relying just on the lug studs. This is what the rear looks like. I've already cleaned the wheel, mounted the tire, and got it bolted up. So you can see there's that little gap, a couple of millimeters, because the hub is a little bit smaller than the hub bore. But I'm going to finish the restoration of these wheels, mount all the tires, get them all on the car, and then roll it around to see how it fits inside the wheel fender opening. Okay, so here's one that I'm almost finished with. The tire's mounted. This is on the front passenger. So the offset, the back spacing is the same. We can see that I have room between the upper control arm and the wheel. And there are no other clearance issues. The wheel mounts totally flush up against the drum. The lug nuts are gonna center the wheel. So this is a lug centric mounting, unless I go get a hub ring to stick in there, and it's gonna help center the wheel over the hub. So the last thing to check will be, once I get the car on the ground, we'll see the relationship between the tire and the fender opening to make sure the tire is not going to rub anywhere when I'm turning it both directions. We'll compress the suspension to make sure that the bump stop up here is still going to contact its counterpart on the control arm without touching the tire. And if everything checks out in the driveway, then we can take it for a spin.